We know our enemy. We've seen behind the curtain. And they have a weakness. An Achilles heel. They are arrogant
and completely underestimate what they are up against. They forget who the game master is. They forget how wise this old demon can be. So, let's see who among them survives this killing field.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden move. You don't know the half of the abuse. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden move. You don't know the half of the abuse. Yeah, welcome to the room of people who have rooms of people that they loved one day docked away. Just because we check the guns at the door doesn't mean your brains will change from hand grenades. You'll never know the psychopath sitting next to you. You'll never know the murderer sitting next to you. You'll think how'd I get here sitting next to you. But after all I said, please don't forget. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden move. You don't know the half of the abuse. We don't deal with outsiders very well. They say newcomers have a certain spell. You have trust issues not to mention. They say they can smell your intentions. You'll never know the freak show sitting next to you. You'll have some weird people sitting next to you. You'll think God I get here sitting next to you. But after all I said, please don't forget. Tried to warn you just to stay away. And now they're outside ready to burn. It looks like you might be one of us. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden move. You don't know the half of the abuse. Lead us.
In a world where creatures of myth and legend exist, a covert task force is charged with keeping humanity safe from supernatural threats. And when young Nancy Moon stumbles into the eternal battle between good and evil, she finds... Oh my god, will you shut up? What's happening? Agent Beckett here. Aren't you tired of stuff like that? Want something different? Roll the tape. Whoops. Sorry about that. That's a song I'm writing for my ex. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's more like it. Alrighty. Welcome to the world of the mythicals. We have it all. Monsters. Magic. Government agents. He's the strong silent type. This guy. Ugh, gross, dude. Get some kind of cream or something. Lots of 90s style action. Pew pew pew. And that strong female lead alluded to earlier. Not to mention a dashing field commander with a great sense of fashion. Look at those glasses. South River Studios presents The Mythicals, Issue 1. Buy it, if you dare. Ugh, will you can it already? How'd you get free? Now beat it before I lose my cool.
So what are you waiting for? Back it today. Like right now.
Back the Mythicals today.
The Civil War was America's bloodiest conflict. Over 500,000 died to preserve national unity. When the war ended, Confederates like Harley Brogdon headed west, shooting games of the Army and gambling. When a card game turns deadly, Harley shoots in self-defense, killing the card sharp who threw down first. Wilfred Knorr, the card sharp's wealthy father, will stop at nothing to see Harley hang. Harley flees to Cobb's Gap, an old silver mining town at the foot of the Rockies. A remarkably peaceful town, especially after dark. But the sheriff harbors a dark secret, and no one dares go into the mines anymore. Cobb's Gap is full of secrets. People speak in hushed tones of something in the mine. Something worse than their cursed sheriff. Something even the Indians fear. Tired of running, Harley falls in love with a local widow with secrets of her own. But when Knorr's posse arrives seeking vengeance, the stage is set for a showdown with unimaginable horrors from the deepest pits of hell, and every secret will be exposed. Eisner winner Mike Barron and acclaimed illustrator Pat Broderick present one of the weirdest westerns that Comic Dom has ever seen. Bronze Star, a thrilling tale of love, revenge, and supernatural terror from the minds of two legendary creators. It's not the monster you're looking for. Order your copy at bronzestarcomic.com.
Introducing Discord, Atlanta's newest superhero, from award-winning author C.S. Johnson. With musical powers that enable him to hear the unique song of each individual soul, Discord has spent the last decade honing his skills and training to take down his father's killer. But Discord isn't just fighting for justice. He's also using his powers to go after human traffickers and put an end to their heinous crimes. Get this 30-page full-color comic today.
Get ready for an exhilarating journey into the boundless world of imagination. Welcome, comic book enthusiasts, to the extraordinary realm of Out of Obscurity. This groundbreaking anthology, published by Arrow Comics, unveils a legion of aspiring creators, each eager to leave their mark on the industry. Prepare to be captivated as they breathe new life into obscure public domain characters, creating their own unique tales within the pages of this awe-inspiring collection. Out of Obscurity is a testament to the unwavering passion and creative prowess of these emerging talents. They have meticulously resurrected forgotten heroes and heroines, spinning intricate yarns that span the ages. Brace yourself for action-packed battles, mind-bending mysteries, and heartwarming triumphs that will transport you to uncharted territories of excitement. By supporting our Fund My Comic campaign, you become an essential part of this historic endeavor. Together, we can catapult these aspiring creators towards their dreams of comic book glory. Join us on this epic odyssey and witness the birth of new legends. Your generous contributions will not only help us bring Out of Obscurity to life, but also grant you access to exclusive rewards, including remarkable artwork, signed copies, and behind-the-scene glimpses. Embrace the spirit of adventure, for within these pages, untold wonders await. Together, let us ignite the spark of greatness within these visionary talents and redefine the landscape of the comic book universe. Be a part of history and make Out of Obscurity a reality.
I am the spectator. I am he who spectates. I scoured the universe in search of a very special card game. Well, I skipped the Crab Nebula because, ew. But now my search is over. Ever wish you could share your love of comics and superheroes and collectible card games with your whole family? Now you can with
Superpowered Smashmasters! It's your friendly neighborhood superhero parody card game. In Superpowered Smashmasters, or Spasm? Can we say that?
Inappropriate.
In Spasm, you assemble teams of heroes and build decks around what your heroes can do. And what is it they do, you ask? Protect the innocent? Stamp out injustice?
No, we go find some rival heroes to smash.
Yes, because that's what superheroes do.
Tell them about the hero cards, and do it right.
Each hero has a special power. They can benefit your team, or they can melt your enemies' faces.
Right on. If your heroes smash all the other heroes, you win, punk.
Don't call them that. The game's content is appropriate for kids. I mean, most kids.
Not feral kids. Never hand your cards to a feral kid. Not if you want your hand back.
This is a parody game, lovingly crammed full of comic book cliches and pop culture references. 'Cause we're nerds.
The content's rated G. I mean, it would be if people rated card games.
It's a deck-building game the whole family can play together. Thanks for checking out our game. We're grateful for your support.
Learn more about Smashmasters by checking out our gameplay video. Do it. Until next time,
Don't say it.
Excelsior!
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. You know you stopped me dead while I was passing by. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time.
Ooh, I see you every time. Oh my, I like your style. You make
never seen anybody do the things you do before. Move for me, move for me, move for me, When you're done, I'll make you do it all again. So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me, And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. Dance for me, monkey, monkey, monkey.
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. Hey,
How are you?
everybody. I've had better days, but I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm okay.
My knee hurts. I didn't want to get into it, but my knee hurts. Anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody.
For those who don't know, Diane and I are in the same house. We're just in different rooms. She's my wife, my editor, and right now my worry, because I worry about her knee. But hello, everybody. Condolences to Rick, who I think may still be in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
The passing of his mom. I don't want to make light of it. I don't want to dig too deep in it, but I wanted to mention it because, you know, it's sad.
Yeah, it is. So Linda, can I just kind of pop in for a second here about Rick's mom?
Yeah.
Okay, so Linda, who is Cross Comic Rick's mom, passed away suddenly last week. We didn't know her personally. We do know her. We kind of met her through our stream when Rick would pop in and join us, and Linda would come in the background and just say her nightly hello to everybody. And oftentimes she would try to talk, and Rick would have his headphones on, and he'd like, "Mom, I've got my headphones on. They can't hear you." And then he'd come back and he'd go, "Hey, my mom says hi," and and so forth. But I do want to say that she encouraged me to watch a video series called The Chosen. her and Rick both. But I was listening to Linda, no offense, Rick, mostly, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm very thankful that, number one, I got to meet her via the internet. She seemed like a lovely person, and I am happy that I was able to watch The Chosen because I was really blessed by that. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Just to give a little homage of what I knew. I didn't really know her well, but she was put up on to Rick's viewing screen a few handful of times and had some conversations with us.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes tonight's stream. Thank you for watching. Catch us next week. Please subscribe
And yes, Mighty Geek, she will be missed. Yeah, she'll be missed for sure. So anyways, what do we got on the lineup there, T-Mac, husband?
There's not a lot of news. Well, maybe there is. We have Cyclopian 5 books coming in.
Yep.
We have Bling coming in. The keychains are here. We have a special secret surprise that I don't believe it was that was not one of the
no, it
stretch
was not.
goals, was it?
Oh, it was supposed to be a surprise.
It is a surprise. We haven't told them what it is.
Okay. All right. Well, you may slip, but yes.
No, I won't slip now that I'm sure. Okay.
All right. So yeah, actually, we had to order the Captain Aura covers because we didn't have any in house. So we're waiting on those to arrive. They should be in by the end of this week or beginning of next week. Do you want me to keep talking? I think that's what he meant, to keep talking. And so, so we're just waiting for the books to come in. We've got a couple more. The metal cards need to come in as well, and they should be in by the end of next week. So everything will be out. We did say September, so everything will be out before the end of September for sure. And we're very excited to get that into our amazing backers' hands. And once again, thank you so very much for helping to make the Great Cyclopean issue 5 a success.
Thank you indeed.
Yes. Did I do enough talking for you to do whatever the heck you just had to get up and do?
Well, I wanted to show the audience we got something today. And I'm kind of proud that I got this because...
Oh, dear God, here we go.
Well, I just want to share a little bit. The idea was I was looking for samples of the book, and I found an entire PDF. And I read it.
Right, here we go.
And I wrote the creator, and I said, hey, I found a pirated version of your book online. How do I send you money for it? And he never answered me, of course. So I was, it was a few days, and the creator announced that he was selling the book, at a half price. So I bought it. And it came in today, and ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Isom. It's backwards in your screen, isn't it?
Yep.
There we go. Now, when I read the
Mosey.
What's that?
Looks like Mosey.
Now it's reversed?
Now it's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
I
RJ.
did not. I like to say I did not hate this book.
I haven't read it yet. I thumbed through it. It looked cool.
I didn't think it was bad. A lot of people really have a lot of dislike for it, and I think that has a lot to do with the hey critical blast. That has a lot to do with the drama going on around Eric July.
Probably.
More so than the content. Like, I think most of us would be so excited to have, a third of his, an eighth of his sales. You know what I'm saying? And I think he gets a lot of flack because he's kind of proud. He kind of has, his attitude, and that's okay. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind people having a little bit of an ego. Honey, what are you doing to your microphone?
Nothing? Why?
Because it was like,
I
that.
Microwave. I didn't touch the microwave. Oh, okay. Is that better?
Are you microwaving? No, it just sounded like you were mugging your microphone. I wanted to make sure.
No, I wasn't. Oh, Can we not do this? I'm sorry. My big mic isn't working, remember?
No, it's just you don't hook it up properly.
Yeah. Well,
You're doing all right though. Otherwise, you're doing fine.
I have this person, and he just like doesn't always.
Yeah, RJ's right. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. And a lot of people got upset about the price because of what, or it wasn't RJ. It was Rick. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Let's see. Is it about? You know what? I'm going to be honest. It was like an introduction to a character who felt like he had been around. I felt like I should know who he is. Like it felt like, okay, so if I was to compare it to a movie, it felt like Rambo 5 for the most part. And I related to that because Rambo 5 had that that he was out on a homestead and then he had to go fight in Mexico. It just had that kind of vibe to it.
Really?
And really, when I read it in the PDF, I read it so quickly, I didn't even notice most of the mistakes that people had pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
But then once they point them out, you can't ignore it. It's like, oh, now I see it every time. For instance, the colors of his shirt change weird. Or there was a time where I saw him as holding a bad guy and like it shifts from his left hand to his right without any sequential movement. And it's just, there's some sloppiness in it. But as a creator myself, I would be shining with joy to have a product like that. Not even the sales. I think overall, as far as an indie comic goes, it reaches a very good level of quality. At least it's not great, but there's nothing about it that I can look at and go, "Wow, that was real crap." That's an impressive thing. Most indie books have weaknesses somewhere, whether it's the writing.
Weaknesses?
What's that, babe?
You don't think it had any weaknesses?
It does, but at first glance, it looks very professional. It's very colorful, very it looks like a good-looking book.
But we haven't read it, or I haven't.
No, I have read it, and when you get into it, it's like Rick said, it's good. It's not great.
Okay, so moving on.
So it's not like the Flash movie. But it's nowhere near. It's kind of like probably somewhere like WandaVision.
Oh yeah, okay. And rambles.
Yeah, now I'm just getting bad with my comparisons, but I did get the book. I feel my guilt is absolved. I have given money to Eric July after reading an illegal PDF, and honestly, guys, that was what is kind of important to me. I believe in that stuff. So let's move into voting.
Moving right along.
The scoring, which is not really voting. We've talked about that, and I have to be careful about my vocabulary so I can adjust. Mm-hmm. But I actually advertise as vote now, vote early and often. But the polling for our list of the FMC top 25 trailers for September has started. Mm-hmm. If you are a creator out there and I've missed your video, let me know. We can add you.
You're on FMC, right?
Yep. Yeah, they have to be on FMC. Yeah. For those who don't know, FMC is fundmycomic.com.
Yeah.
The most awesome place you can find indie comics anywhere. Honestly, I'm not kidding. Like other places have great comics, don't get me wrong, but Fund My Comic is like indie to the bone, like to the very core, to the creator of the system. You know what I'm saying? Like
this isn't like yes, RJ, it is the place to be.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And yes. And the top 25 FMC trailers is unofficial, but actually I begged for it to be unofficial when I thought of it. I didn't want it to be official because it's not about who has the highest selling book. It's not about who has the biggest names. It's about you guys and how many times you feel like voting for your favorite books or your favorite trailers. You know what I'm saying?
So there's no like rhyme or reason as to like we're not saying, oh, you need to look at the video that has like the best storytelling or the best art.
I mean, criteria for voting.
Yeah,
criteria. There is one criteria. It's something that you want to vote for.
Right.
That's it. If you watch the video and you feel like a 1 through 10, it's there. If you want to skip it, you know, go ahead. You want to vote more than once, go ahead. It's very flexible. I think it's good that way because, like, if you have a set of fans, you can actually do a run on the chart. And then if another book says, "Hey, wait a minute," you know, they're campaigning, they can campaign. It's very much like an American Idol fun joy. And it's not really to market this like as a scientific study, it's to expose the creators to a wider audience.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be honest, I'll tell you guys the god honest truth. I rewatched it a few times while I was doing my work, while I was just hanging out. You know, like I used to run video game videos, just guys talking about video games in the background. Now I'm running the trailers and it's fun. Like, you can't do it all day long. There's only like an hour of it, but you pop it on. It's great, man. And now I know more about the creators than most people do because I see their trailers, you know, once or twice a week. It's building.
Well, I think it's cool because it gives all of the creators another opportunity to get their trailers out there, you know.
Well, and honestly, guys, I am also self-serving because we are Hero Shack Press. We are promoting Cyclopian, and that is our flagship title. So in a couple of days here, when we launch the Cyclopian 6 campaign, and I say days, it might be as many as like 13 days, like almost 2 weeks. It depends really on what FMC will let us do while we fulfill issue 5. But the Great Cyclopean number 6, I'm done. I'm up at page 19, and I'm going to 24, and then it's going out. And anybody who knows me knows that's, you know, it's there. That when I'm at 19, I'm there.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about what's going to happen in the Great Cyclopean 6?
Well, you haven't read 5, but in 5, there is a confrontation between the Great Cyclopean and his life coach, basically Captain Aura. Issue 6 is the result of that confrontation. To put it bluntly, there's 19 bold pages of action. And then the final 5 pages, there's a little bit of a cool down into the situation for issue 7. But there is a definitive end to the fight. And there is a definite direction for issue 7. And I can't give away too much because, like I said, 5 is just finished funding, and we're about to fulfill it. And nobody's read it yet. So it's like, we do need to send out the PDFs, though. I don't think we've sent out the links for those yet.
I haven't sent out anything because I wanted to do everything all at once.
Well, we may need to adjust that in the future.
Okay.
I'm not a business guy, but I would be like, where's my PDF?
Well,
and this campaign has had some fun stuff. Like, for instance, I think this was the first campaign where we ever sold out of PDFs. I accidentally set an expiration date on all of our stuff, and I woke up the last day of the campaign, and it was all set to sold out. So it wasn't Fun Mike Comics' fault. It was because I set it up that way. Yeah. And I'm looking at it going, and people are asking me, how did you sell out of PDFs? What happened? Like, how do you only have so many PDFs? Like, don't you have an unlimited supply of PDFs? Isn't that like an endless spring? Yeah, it was bad. But it worked out. And we did go like 1,000% over our ask, but we only asked for 100. Next time I might be ballsy and ask for 125.
Ooh, watch out.
We'll see what we do. I don't want to get cocky. I'm having a lot of fun entering into the FMC world because we've done Kickstarter, we've done Indiegogo, and they're both fine services. However, I have a personal liking to Luke Stone, and I think that him getting into the crowdfunding business is only going to be a blessing for all of us. So I want to support it as much as I can. I want to be there. I want to build our book there. Yep. And I think it's a good place to be. And there's benefits too. You know, they only take 3%. They're not like 7 or 10% like, other places.
Well, and the personal service that you get as well. I mean, you are actually talking to the person that created the
Well, at
whole.
least for now, he's gonna eventually get so big where that's gonna be not as easy. But I do believe the core of his company will always be independent comics.
Mhm.
Even if we can't get a hold of him directly a few years down the road when he's a multi-billionaire, because he's done a great job at servicing the independent market, which has grown exponentially in the future, you know?
Hmm.
Don't me, young Lenny.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just moving the old leg around here.
So what else are we going to talk about here tonight? Because I've covered 5, 6, and top 25.
And the top 25. Well, what did you have planned? You sort of said you had a show planned.
Well, I did, but it kind of fell apart.
When did it fall apart? It did not fall apart.
Fell apart, literally, yeah.
Oh, good Lord, you're so funny.
I had talked to this Hollywood producer who was going to come on. I was going to surprise everybody, but he's actually in Bermuda, and his plane went down in the Triangle. So he's on a raft in the Triangle, and he's waiting for a helicopter to pick him up. But nobody wants to come get him because he's in the Triangle.
You're so funny.
And his cell phone still works, though. Hey, Jess, what's up, my lady?
What about the event in October? That is literally around the corner. It's about 5, 6 weeks away.
Now you're scaring me.
I know, right? We're very excited. We just got approval to put the posters in our school district. The superintendent gave the approval. We have a ton of indie creators coming. I think we have 14 this year, which is up from last year. We are now going to have a cosplay contest. So that's something new. We've actually advertised to have a cosplay contest. So if you are local or planning on coming to the Athol Library and Hero Shack Press Comic Book Fest, you can sign up for that. We do have prizes. We will be doing prizes for best costume, best get up. Let's see, what else? We are... Let's see, we're going to have a caricature artist who is a local guy. He actually is a school teacher, and he does caricatures, and I believe he's setting up his table and will be offering caricatures for anybody that wants one. I think there's a fee, of course, but the event itself is free. So that means you can walk through the door and not have to pay anything. And there will be games. It's very family friendly. It's geared for families and kids. Do you want to say something? Because you look like you want to say something. Please do.
What
was that?
We're having a caricature artist?
Yes, Bill LaRose is going to be there.
Are we having any crafts?
No. Well,
Okay.
the kids are going to make superhero capes and
No, I mean,
masks.
like, are we having like a jewelry stand?
No,
or
we didn't have that last year, so we will not be
we didn't
having
have caricatures either.
Yes, we did. Actually, we had another gentleman that was doing it, but I don't think he's coming back this year. He's
I
an
think he
artist.
left early.
Well,
That
he's
guy?
an
The one who
artist.
left
He's an
early?
artist. So, yes. So, what else are we going to have? We'll have some illustrators there. We'll have comic book creators. I think we have some graphic novels.
Well, I'll be there, and y'all, if you're in town, should come see me.
We'll be there. We'll have a table there.
If you're from Athol, your kids probably know me. It's really exciting. We're going to be doing Cyclopian. I believe we're doing some in the town hall panels as well, right?
Yes, we are going to have panels and creator panels.
Well, last year we went across the way to the library, and the problem was not enough people were coming over because there
so
were
everything this year is going to be in the town hall. We are actually planning to use the stage for the creators, and we'll have a moderator asking the creators questions. That's one of the things I'm working on, is the sound system and all of that good stuff. So it's coming along. And the date of the event is Saturday, October 14th from 10 to 3. It's at the town hall in Athol.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can come if you're behaving yourself. I mean, you can come. They may not let you because you're
Will
fresh.
Kim Lee should still be emceeing this event?
Yes, actually, she will be.
That would be the young lady who hosted the event last year as like the MC.
Mhm.
So Tim is shocked that I'm not wearing my pint, but
Yeah.
until I come up with I'm working on a new design, and until I have it, there's no sense in like wearing the old one. I don't want to scare the kiddos. At the last show we did, I was scaring kids, so I've got to find something more stingish. I'm thinking like California sunshine sting, if you know what I'm talking about.
Dear God.
Yeah, or maybe Ultimate Warrior is the way to go, but bright colors, happy face.
And T-Mac will be coming into the next issue of the Great
No,
Cyclopian.
not the next one, but he's coming up.
I thought he was going to be in
Yeah,
this.
you don't know the full plot. Yeah, you don't understand.
I thought it
You
was
don't
7.
understand
The next
no,
issue, not
yeah.
6.
No, I
All
got
right,
you.
all right.
I got you so confused now.
I know. You do. You really do. You always have me confused, so keep me spinning.
Where are we going next? What's your next topic?
My next topic would be the Great Cyclopean dolls continue to be manufactured. I have two or three different sizes that I'm going to be assembling, especially for the our October Comic Fest. What are you doing?
I'm posing in a different way because the picture got too big.
What?
Look at the picture, how big we are.
I know why. That's so weird.
Because you can do all sorts of stuff with it now.
Oh, so you're playing. So Tim is still shocked, but that's okay. So anyways, what else do you want to chit chat about? Does anybody have any questions for us in the chat? Anybody?
Are we opening up the chat at all or the stream?
You certainly can if you want. We have about 40 minutes left of our programming. We can do that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Unless everybody wants to watch trailers instead, we could do that.
No, why don't we? So why don't we open up the stream? And if you would like to come in and chit chat for a bit, we can.
But if you're boring, I'm kicking you out.
He's gonna kick me out. You can kick me out. I'll be all right with
Not
that.
you, lady. I'm talking to those people in the crowd. They know who they is.
Tim, you must have just arrived. So the books have not arrived yet. They should be in by the end of this week or beginning of next week. I think Labor Day sort of threw off the
No,
delivery.
you know what? I think it's something else. I think it's just slow printing because most of the bling is already here. And for the one thing we're waiting on, I believe, are the metal cards, right?
Yes.
So it's down to the metal cards and the covers. What's up, man?
How's it going?
What'd you do to your ears? They look like headphones. I'm messing with you.
I had a freak accident at a Samsung.
There you go. How's Melvin doing? I haven't looked at how your funding's going. How's it going?
It's like almost $600.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, but we gotta see that thing get to 700. He's got a special card he wants to.
Oh yeah,
out.
that'd be sweet.
Yeah. See, I'm remembering these things. I'm telling you what, man. Watching all these trailers, you remember stuff. Like you go to all the campaign pages, you see everything. It's like, oh my gosh, there's
I'm
so
still
much talent.
shocked that I got the number 12 on the countdown. I'm like,
Yeah, it was awesome, and we're going again. It starts all over. What's it called? I forget the name of it. There's a new one out that I was just gushing over. I love the artwork in it. And I'll remember it after I see it a few more times. But like any new campaigns, we should. I don't know. I'm monitoring it, but creators should let me know if I've missed them because it's fun to put it together. And
you know what that means, though.
What's that?
It means that the next trailer I do has to be better.
Well, that's what's weird. Like you defied like the good trailer thing, and I know that I voted for you highly. I bet you Rick did. Like
I didn't vote.
You didn't vote, you slimy. No,
you lying dog. You.
The way of the vote though isn't really scientific. So like, if like when the mythicals took over the chart, they like he went on Twitter and said, "Hey, vote for us." And I saw like 6 votes, really high 9s and 10s go, and I was like, "Oh, how do you do that? Like that worked. Oh my gosh." So as the campaigns get bigger, as the audiences get bigger, the votes will be able to be swayed by the campaigns, like, which means the video doesn't have to be like a $20,000 production from some professional video production, or it might do better if it is. It's like it all depends on the people watching.
It'll probably depend on how big your fan base is.
That and how many times your fans are willing to vote. Like, you know how some fan bases are rabid, and like you might get some guy who's going to vote, 8 times an hour for the next 4 weeks because he backed your book and he loves it. Fine, but maybe that might counteract like one burst by someone of a 6-figure caliber. Like maybe someone big comes in and they get 2,000 votes in one day. Well, it was buffered because you had a rabid fan or two going nuts for a month. It's all relative and it's all unscientific, so we can get that kind of result so that everybody gets a shot at getting publicity exposure.
Yes, but you know how my brain works. I won't stop till I reach number 1.
That's fine, man. Go for it. Like, it's there. And I would encourage everybody to do it because honestly, self-serving, the bigger that show gets, the more Cyclopian 6 will be able to be viewed by trailers because I'm going to be on FMC and hopefully people will vote for it. Even if they don't, I kind of like the format where we covered the first hour without any hosting. Like, I just put together an hour-long video, and had I done it earlier, I would have edited it a little cleaner. But it was nice. It was like, that's just a nice, clean, boom, one trailer after another. I get to remember all these trailers. Like, the only one that bothers me is Poop Man, and it has nothing to do with the art or the content. It's because he used the canned music from Apple iMovie. And I only know that because Pyramid Nights used the same thing. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could just like put another song behind it. It would change the whole complexion, but it's not my trailer, so I can't mess with it. That's the only complaint I have out of all of them. That one, I'm like, Poop Man, get some poop music. Don't use this canned shit.
Yeah, the only thing I would say in doing this is that you need to find a way for people to act. I know they could just go over to Fun My Comics and watch all these trailers, but you need to find a way to get them to people so they can view them easily.
Well, if they go on the poll, the link is next to the title of each one for the video, and from there, like, it's all up to them. The whole idea would be, you got to go to Fun My Comic and type in,
because that was that was mainly my thing. I don't know what these trailers look like. I'm not going to vote for something that I don't know about.
Oh yeah, if you go on the forum, so maybe we should highlight that. If you go on the forum, like if let's say when Canadian Shield goes back up, right, and you're funding, it'll have your title, and then there's a thing that says video, a little link. And if the person hasn't seen it, they click that and boom, the video pops up in the window and they watch it and they go, that was awesome. Number 9,
Yeah. Well, and I know the thing is long and like the last time you had 25 or more? No, 75.
Well, no, I included every video on there because it's like, how do you exclude? Like, it's not fair to cut anybody out. But
I get that. I'm just saying you had 75 videos. So at that point, it's like...
Actually, no, I had 49. 49 total.
49? I thought I'd seen 75.
No, it was just 49 because I had to put them together. And actually, no, you want to know the truth? That was a mess up. It was 48, but I didn't subtract the header. You know how in a database, the header counts as line 1? I didn't subtract that from the total, so I put the top 49. And when I got to 26, I realized I was all out of sync. And I'm like, okay, I have like an hour before broadcast. It's going 49. I don't have time to change all these. So yeah, the first one is plagued with little errors.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still, even 48 videos, going in and clicking each one individually to get what it is, unless you have somebody that's specifically wanting to vote for a specific one, but just regular Joe Blow that hasn't got an agenda, we'll say, to vote for one. Because
if they look though, well, and it's up to the people, but there's no requirement to answer any of them. You could actually answer with a 0 on all of them by not replying. But what I did the first poll was, let's say only one person came in and voted for Canadian Shield and they gave you a 7, and 10 people came in and voted for Tim and gave him a 6 for whatever reason, right? So he'd have 60 points to your 7, but you average it and you would win because it's 7-6. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was doing it that way, but then after talking to RJ and Diana, what I'm doing now is if somebody doesn't vote on a book, it automatically gets a 5 down the middle. So like if you skip a vote, no big deal. They're going to get a 5, so it all averages out. And then what really matters is, did you downvote or upvote a title? And you can vote all of them, or you can vote none of them, but that way nobody's getting like, a 0 because nobody voted for them. And then there's no ratio bend. Like if one person votes for you and 60 for Tim, you could still win if Tim falls below that. Like if somebody voted a 10 and Tim won a 9, for instance, you would win on one vote. And that would be like warp 2, But again, it's not scientific. So it's all just to generate some interest, some fun, some excitement.
Yeah.
And for me,
I guess like my point was more trying to get the videos that they're more easily accessible for people.
I can't do that if they don't. That's the other thing. They have to be interested enough to bother to go here. And the only people who are going to do that are really fans of FMC and the various campaigns. I think when we did it last time, we had something like 54 responses, but only actually like 34 unique, meaning that people weren't voting every time anyways. Like they were going in and voting for, say, one book. and submitting. And the way I reconcile that in my head is, well, number one, it was the first one, but number two, it's okay. It's not scientific. I have to keep reminding myself that, which is weird because in a true scientific thing, that can get creepy. Like,
I doubt anybody's going to vote for everybody, sit there and figure out, ooh, I think this person.
You know who might do it is somebody who watched it the week before, because initially you only know maybe 2 or 3 trailers, whatever has interested you over the last year, right? But then if you watch the shows and you start seeing the trailers, it can start becoming familiar. Like maybe next week, someone who watched the first week will go, I never had seen Obscurity, the obscure. Oh, I can't think of the title now.
Yeah.
I've never seen Melvin before, but I saw it last week, and now I know how great of a video it is. I think I'm going to go vote for him this time because I know how good it is. I saw it last week. Like repetition of viewing might promote that kind of thing. Now, the only downfall, though, is we're doing it monthly. So only a campaign like Tim's is going to benefit, something with like a long campaign, because he can go a couple of months and get that exposure to build it up. Whereas like I did 21 days, I might miss the countdown altogether. And if you do 30, you'd make it for 1 month, but maybe not 2.
Yeah. Or if you have an ongoing thing, you make it for a lot of months. You mute it, Tim.
I know, I realized that. Or you went in and you voted for your campaign the highest, and then you gave everybody a 1. Not saying it was me, though.
Well, but that was a possibility last week.
Isn't that cheating, Tim?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, because you can't really cheat. It would just be reason for other people to get in their campaigns and back the other way. Like, okay,
Well, I'm of course just teasing Tim.
I mean, only in Minecraft.
It's not like I did that.
Hey, Luke Stone.
Hey, Luke. Hello, brother.
In the chat.
So no pressure, but I'll add the link because we invited everybody about 20 minutes ago.
Oh,
yeah, the link's still there. You probably can see it, but like I said, my thing is trying to figure out some way to show the videos off so people who haven't voted before can.
Yeah, so I think the only way we can do that is to show them, like. So hopefully if they watch, like I said, maybe, repeated watching of the shows, if we had, and this is not anything other than once Fund My Comic grows. But if we had more titles coming in on a weekly basis, we could look at a bi-weekly or a weekly show. But as it is, like, I think there's only one fresh title so far this month that I'm aware of. And that's okay too. But they have to, like, there's going to be more titles as the month goes on.
And some other titles are going to slip out too.
I kind of like the monthly thing because we can build the excitement, the anticipation. And I enjoy it because I get to rewatch all of the trailers. And, when you first, especially for somebody like myself, like I'm not I don't have a specific type of comic that I like. So as I vote and I watch all of the trailers, I get to learn a little bit more about each creator, which I really enjoy that. And so to me, welcome, Luke Jones.
Hola.
It's so nice to have you here.
¿Cómo está?
To me,
Luke, I am your father.
Doing the
Ron
trailers,
Skywalker.
the Fund My comic trailers, as kind of a novice comic book reader, I really enjoy it for that.
Yeah. I just know there's going to be a lot of people like me. I was lazy and I don't know how to get to. I don't want to go look up each of these trailers. I'm not voting at all.
Let me ask: did you watch the countdown?
Somewhat. I didn't watch the before part of it, but I watched while you guys were live.
So, how many of those 25 new ones, or how many of those 25 were new to you?
Probably like 90% of them. Of course, I'd seen Melvin before, and I might have seen. Because I've had a couple of the guys on my channel, I had seen theirs. Well,
let's say even half. That would mean that 12 to 13 videos were new, and maybe spark interest in a new campaign. And next week, if you do decide to vote, you'll have a baseline of 25 videos. Some come away, some new ones, but you know what I mean? That's kind of the hope that would work in a flow.
Although I must admit, it did inspire me to reach out to one guy, although I ended up having to cancel it, I was going to have him on this week. I reached out last Wednesday about him coming on this week to my channel to promote, but unfortunately with what happened with me, I canceled because, I have to do part
that makes sense.
By the day's end, I don't think I'd be feeling to do up to promoting anybody or whatever. And I didn't even get home by 5 o'clock.
So, not to cut into a weird thing, but hello, Luke.
Hello, how's it going?
Are you saying?
Yeah, I tried to keep it less weird.
By the way, I am so happy to have your smooth voice over this stream.
Oh yeah.
Every time I watch your shows, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Luke. Yeah, it's.
He's got a voice for easy listening radio.
It's funny. I didn't used to have that voice. This is a product of the intubation.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah. So. Yeah, I got it's vocal cord damage is what caused this.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I had never heard you. When I first heard you, I think you had just come home from the hospital.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was during that whole Liberty thing, and you were not exactly full of energy. So you'd come on and you'd be like,
"Remember that?"
And yes, it's me, and this is this, and you were talking, but like now you just sound like I think Tim said it. You sound like an easy listening DJ,
Yeah. So I'm getting ready to take respiratory rehabilitation to try to get more lung capacity back.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully I'll be able to sing again because I used to be a singer and a guitar player and stuff.
Oh my gosh!
And I got the nerve cluster in my shoulder was damaged from the way they would move me, and I got a pinched nerve in my elbow. So my fretting hand for guitar, my arm was completely paralyzed, and it's starting to come back. I mean, we're starting to get some life back in it and stuff. So I'm trying to learn how to play new instruments.
Nice. Yeah, to read about those muscles. It ignite all that muscles and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I went to a Pioneer Village, of all places, this last Saturday.
Yeah.
And someone was messing with this what they call a mountain dobro or Appalachian, not dobro, dulcimer.
Mhm.
and it looked really simple. Like they sat on their lap and they pushed down on the strings.
Yeah.
And I've gotten my hand to where I can push down keys on the keyboard.
Nice.
And I do that with my little thing that I use for drawing here. And so I was like, I bet I could do that. So
Yeah, that's cool.
but I wound up talking to the lady, and she let me play it, and all of my music theory came back, and I was like, oh, this is easy. This is scales. Started playing, getting my little gimpy fingers to do something, and it moved my wife so much that she went and bought me a Mountain Dulcimer Monday.
Nice.
Oh,
So
Good,
I could start
good
playing
job.
again.
What an awesome lady. That's awesome.
Oh, she's amazing. She's amazing.
Cool.
Music has
It'll
always been a big part of my
definitely
life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's gonna be nice to, the hope is that I'll be able to sing again and maybe
play.
do some more jazz, easy listening stuff. I used to sing rock and roll, so
Really?
maybe now I
kidding.
can do some. Yeah, maybe now I can do some. I don't know, Rod Stewart, maybe.
I was going to ask you. You
Rod
probably put one
Stewart.
on.
Gonna be a little rough on the voice.
Don't be lame, man.
Yeah.
So fundmycomic.com. It's a good success story. It's happening, right? Things are growing, and
It's really
great.
happening, man. It really is. I'm just pleased as peaches.
I can't believe how great our campaign did on there. Now we got a lot of support out in New Hampshire, and I know where it came from, but it was exciting because there was no hesitation. Like a lot of people will hesitate when they don't know a crowdfunding site.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys dove right in. It's like it had a good feel. They jumped in. They liked it, and I was really happy about that. Because you know me, I already made a few mistakes myself. I'm like, okay, well, the guys come in and buy comics, and they did, man. I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's it's a lot of fun being able to go on the site every day and look and see who all's joined up and what's coming and things. So October's gonna be a pretty big month. We've got a lot of things launching in October. We have a couple of things that have launched. Like today, we just had Gary Martin launch his book, his art book, and I'm a big fan of Gary Martin. This guy, he's up there with Kelsey Shannon. Kind of legendary artist. These guys are amazing, and
here he is on
needed
your
help.
crowdfunding,
Yeah, and
man.
he needed help tonight, on figuring something out. So he's like, can we talk? And so I just give him a call, and it's at that time it was like 7:00 at night, 7:30, and I'm talking to Gary Martin, helping him fix his campaign, walking through those things, and he's happy because the guy that owns the site is helping him out, to get this stuff done that he needs to get done, and I'm happy because I get to talk to Gary Martin, right?
Right.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
This is
That's exciting.
it's so much fun doing this, and really the thing that's really I think energized this whole thing is like you guys, it's the creators and the fans that see this for the potential that it is. They say, this is our home, this is our place now, and it's just very exciting to kind of be a part of that, and to see that kind of evolve and grow. Just the
When
energy.
you started, I told you we'd come over, and we had Cyclopian 4 on Indiegogo, and it funded, and everything was fine and dandy. But I had to wait for that campaign to end, and you had started, and I was like, "All right, this is it, Cyclopian 5.
Yeah.
Let's do this, baby." So I have a question, and it's my laziness. I haven't looked it up yet. I'm sure you have documented. But when can we open up our next campaign? Because we haven't fulfilled 5 yet. It's coming in. We're going to fulfill in a week here. But what's the official stance? Do we have to have fulfillment completed? Is there?
You can have 2 campaigns open at a time.
Okay. So that answers.
Unless you're like a publisher that has
Right.
multiple creative teams working, and then you can have 4.
Okay.
So you can have 2 running at a time, but then once you get to that third, you need to have already started fulfillment on at least one of them.
Exactly.
So that's our policy.
And
so
we'll
that we
never
don't
go
run
that
into.
far ahead. But like I was telling the audience earlier, 6 is next to done, and I'm ready to go, and I'm like, I don't know what the rules are, so it's great that you showed up. Thank you.
Yeah. It was funny. I normally, because I do Nerd Bacon on Thursday mornings, so
Yes,
I
I
normally
do.
go to bed early on Wednesday nights so that I'm fresh in the morning. But I just found out today that there's a down at the coffee shop I like to go to on Wednesday night. They have they call it music circle.
Oh, cool.
And local musicians will get together and they'll just take turns singing songs and they'll kind of jam with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's when I got off the phone with Gary, I decided to go down and check that out. Where'd that come from?
Be back.
There. Nope, still there.
Huh.
It's funny when I hear my voice like that because I don't recognize myself.
Yeah, it sounds higher. Oh, mine sounds higher.
Well, my voice sounds like a different person now from when I, since before when I got sick.
Okay,
because
keep
the whole
talking.
change.
I'm gonna unmute everybody and see who backfires first. Here we go.
All right, yeah, we'll figure it out. So
there it is.
Who was it?
Who's
Harry? Yeah, it was Terry. You might want to mute Terry. There we go.
There we go, Mighty Geek.
We love you, brother.
What a mighty geek he is.
Yeah.
And but no, so we kind of exciting stuff. What was I saying?
You were talking about your music group.
Yeah,
Right.
so I went down to go listen to those
was
fellas
listening.
play. And when I go to the coffee shop, I always get a coffee. So I got my mocha with 3 shots of espresso, not
So you were
realizing
awake.
it was 8:30 at night.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I'm up drawing. I'm up getting some work done. And I just, when I work, I pop on YouTube and I see what's going on. I'll listen in, things like that. I lurk. I'm a lurker,
Mhm.
And so, you caught me at the right time.
Good.
Nice. Yeah, I lurk all the time too. Nerd Bacon is one of my favorite work lurks. I'm a tech, so if I'm sitting in a room full of laptops that are updating, there's not a lot to do. You throw Nerd Bacon on.
Right.
Usually I catch you on Twitter, which is weird because if I try to interact, it doesn't work well. I have to go to YouTube because that's where you're live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love your stuff, man. It's very comfortable for me. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know if you're public with this or not, but you used to be a pastor as well, right?
I did, yeah. I was a pastor
Nice.
for, I was in ministry for about 25 years, actually.
Mhm.
And then I moved, actually what moved me down to Florida was I went down there as the music and youth pastor, and I was there for 9 months. And then I wound up becoming the lead pastor. So I was a lead pastor for 8 years of my 9 years in Florida. And then that last year I got sick. 5 months without a leader. Didn't do so well. We'd already been hit with, the typical COVID stuff.
Right.
Where people, were kind of leaving traditional church. And some people left church altogether. A third of all believers that had been to church prior,
Mhm.
that had been like regularly attending,
Mhm.
left the church altogether. Like they
Wow.
did
That's
not
so
return.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was kind of heartbreaking, really.
Mhm.
When you
Mhm.
think about, I had friends that were, youth pastors,
Right.
and had been, kind of vital parts of their church's
Mhm.
life, and they just stopped going and stopped attending.
Wow.
But anyway, we had to close things down, and I ended up here. I was thankful because I was hoping that I didn't have to go back into
Ministry.
vocational ministry.
Mhm.
I don't like getting paid by the church.
Mhm.
I feel like when someone's paying you, you can't tell them the truth.
Yep.
You always have to kind of
See,
be a
I know
little,
that too well.
yeah, you
Boy,
have to be,
we know that.
yeah, you have to be a little diplomatic, and I don't.
Yeah.
Paul never was, and Paul was a tent maker.
That's
And
right.
I look at what Paul did with Aquila and Priscilla.
Mhm.
So you've got Aquila and Priscilla here. They are, just people. I mean, just Jews, and they end up in the same place that Paul's in, and Paul needs a place to stay, and Aquila is a tent maker, and Paul's a tent maker, and they're both Jews exiled here, over here, kind of. So he winds up staying with them for a year and a half. During that year and a half, he does just normal life stuff with them, and they wind up spending a lot of time together. And during that time, they come to the faith. After a year and a half, it's time for Paul to leave. So Paul leaves, and Aquila and Priscilla, see, up to that time, the way things are written in the Bible are important. I believe words are important. That's why I don't like what people are doing now with modern language, where they're hijacking words and trying to redefine what a word means.
Yep, it screws everything up.
They play semantics with you on purpose. They're trying to trick you. And so
they've done that for years. Unfortunately, we've had words that have changed over even the last 100 years.
Absolutely. And what they do is they actually kind of hijack these words to trick you. So it's important. I say that because when you're looking at the scripture, it's very important to understand that they refer to Aquila and Priscilla, the husband and the wife. It's always, the patriarch, matriarch kind of structure there. Now, they leave and they follow Paul to the next stop. After that, they follow Paul one more time, and they stay there. And then they wind up going off on their own, parting away from Paul, and they end up in Rome. And in Rome, right before that, you start hearing them refer to them, instead of Aquila and Priscilla, it's Priscilla and Aquila when they're in Rome. So it's Priscilla because she became the pastor of the church. Her husband became co-pastor or associate pastor. He continued to work outside of the home as a tent maker, while she was the one that
was in charge of the church.
She was in charge of the church. In fact, the reason why they stayed so long in Rome was because of her compassion for the people of Rome. Her husband was actually, Aquila was actually, men are more logical. He's like, look, this is not going to end well for any of us. We got to get out of here. And she's like, we need to stay a little bit longer in case we can get a few more converts. And finally he was like, look, babe, it's time to go. Like, we got to get out of here. Like, this is bad news. So, but it's I'm really glad that I'm no longer in vocational ministry, but I have been a little bit of a Jonah. I do know that I've kind of realized I've been disobedient. I'm a teacher, especially when it comes to theology stuff. I'm a teacher. Heck, I just went into it right there. I just gave a little Bible study.
I was going to say,
without even thinking about it, right?
You just did a Bible study from Luke's.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I like that. Question.
Yeah.
Who was emperor at the time? Because it didn't really.
Nero.
Yeah, that explains it.
That was Nero's bloody reign. In fact, the term Roman candle.
Yep.
Yeah. The firework. You know where that came from, don't you?
Yep. He used to set Christians on fire.
He would say, he would pour oil all over them, and he was mocking them because they would say, that we're the light of, the Christians are salt and light, and he's like, okay, sure, if you're supposed to be the light of Rome, you're gonna light up my streets. And he would even in their parties, their banquets at night, he would string Christians up and burn them alive at the stake. So, and they're screaming, and then they're partying, playing music over top of them. That's how disgusting Nero was. So every time it's 4th of July comes around, like, hey, you got any Roman candles? I'm like, eek.
Yeah, no, don't want to talk about that.
No, let's not talk about the Roman candles right now.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah,
but yeah.
It is what it is, right?
Wow.
Awesome.
We did a stint in ministry, mostly street ministry. And the Lord used us for a time and walked us out of it after it. It was nice. But we're believers. We don't have a church that we're officially connected to. But that is one of the things that drew us to you, or drew me to you. Yeah. And when Diana asked me, well, what about Fund My Comic? I'm like,
who is this guy? I have to keep tabs on Christopher.
The pastor started this.
Yeah, pastor started it. Like an idiot, I started a website.
Well, it gave me
a crowdfunding website, no less.
But it gave me hope as a creator, because, like, honestly, it's right now a small pond is growing faster and it's going to be a lake and then the ocean, but
Mhm.
like it feels like home. You know, you can go there, and no matter what your level of comic, there's a notch for you in there,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful thing.
You know, that was the idea, and really kind of the heart behind starting this thing was, in all honesty, was to preserve my own freedom of speech.
There you
You
go.
know, I understood.
Mhm.
So before I got sick in Florida, there was a bill before the House and the state Senate that, if passed, would have made it illegal for me as a pastor to preach any biblical stance on marriage or sexuality.
Yep.
If I were to say things that were deemed offensive by the
Yep.
alphabet mafia,
Mhm.
then our church could lose tax exempt status. And I had a meeting, a very short meeting, with my board members, and I explained that, look, if this happens, two things could happen. One, we lose our tax exempt, and two, I get arrested.
Right.
And they said, that's fine, Pastor. We'll pay
Yeah,
taxes
it's fine.
and
Fine if you
and
get
we'll bail
arrested.
you out. And they said, we'll bail you out. That's what they said.
Oh, that's good.
Very quick.
Did
I mean,
Did
this-
it end up passing?
It did not end up passing,
Oh,
thankfully.
thank God.
Yeah, it was. It did not pass. So, very thankful for that. Very happy for that. But all in all, looking at it now, that was kind of a precursor. Moving forward, when I woke up, so I was in the hospital for 5 months. I went in middle of August 31st.
Oh my gosh.
I was put under. They woke me up October 6th.
Wow.
I got out of the ICU middle of October. I went to my first LTAC unit, and I was there. I didn't take my first steps until December 27th. So it took me that long to learn how to breathe, eat, swallow, sit up. I had no muscles to sit up even on the edge of the bed. That was, it was all. So I took my first steps in December. Finally got to come home in the middle of January. I'm not online much while I'm in rehab, but I am a little bit, so a little bit I have some knowledge of what's going on. Enough to find out that, I've had a couple meetings and we know that the Liberty deal was bogus.
Oh yeah.
And then when I come back, I find out that
Liberty deal.
Yeah, the Liberty distribution thing.
Ah.
We'll get into that later if we need to. But we
Crazy.
we did. But I found out that Broken Compass Comics was having a hard time getting money from Indiegogo, and also Vaughn was having trouble getting money, getting his payout from Indiegogo because of terms of service or community standards is what they said. And they said, and then I saw the term trust and safety, and I know what that means. Trust and safety, that's the same thing that they tried to throw at us with the, with some of the other stuff, the other legislation they were trying to do. And so I was like, no, I know what this is. We're not going to fiddle fart around with this stuff. We know what's happening. We were then starting to see people get shadow banned for no reason. And I was thinking, man, I know that I'm going to have some kind of reason, like some kind of resource in order to be able to crowdfund and stay connected. I want to be uncancelable. Like, that's my thing. And so I started looking into different options. I looked into WordPress. I didn't like it. I felt, that there were too many people out there that knew the codes for WordPress. And if I wasn't up to date on all of the... I'm not a coder. I'm not good at it, right? I was going to try to figure it out if I used WordPress. But I just wanted to do something for myself. So I didn't like that. I looked into what's the name of that? Shopify, using some kind of a Shopify.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't like any of the FIs because they all get kind of wonky. You know what I'm saying?
They all have their terms of community service thing.
Right. Yeah. And if you break, they all have an ability to, take your livelihood away. And I didn't like that. And so I started looking again, and it was brought to my attention that there's a such thing as a white label. Like, you can do like white label coffee, because I wanted to start a coffee company, which I'm going to. We're in the process of starting it. I just decided to do a crowdfunding website first. And so, but we started looking into white label. And so I found a company, a developer, that actually had infrastructure already in place. They'd already built some core code. And so I tried out their base little package as a plug into my own website, and it worked out well. But I was like, look, it's missing some features. I would like to do this. They said, well, if you come on as a client, we'll build whatever you want in addition to the core code that we have, and handle your hosting and your security and all this stuff, right? Well, I was getting a severance from the church, so I was like, I can invest in this a little bit, And so we decided, but first I had to do some little market research. Was it worthwhile to start this? Because we found out, like when I was testing it, that I could have more than just my own stuff up. I could have infinite number of users, be able to crowdfund from this platform. And people said, man, you really need to do this with all the shadow banning and bannings and stuff. Then Mike Barron got banned. And so I was like, I don't want to do this just as an alternative because people are getting banned. I want to do this because it's, because we have a business model that even when that stuff stops, this is worthwhile. Right. That it's around, kind of creative freedom, trust, the ability to be able to do your own, kind of write your own rules as a creator. And, we researched and found out that people were really hungry for something like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, well then that lent a little bit of, I guess, credence to the idea that this is a viable business. And we just started to pursue it from there, hired lawyers, and started writing all the legal documents and all that kind of stuff, and just building it out slowly, and launched in March. We just had an article written by Bleeding Fool. They said we launched in January. Our sign up for early access started in January. We actually launched the site publicly in March.
Yeah.
But
so it hasn't even been a year yet, right?
It hasn't been 6 months yet that we've been live.
Listen, that's fantastic. I mean,
do you think that John Dillard's book kind of brought a lot of people over?
It did. It's the early adopters is what's really gotten this. It's like I said, it's the fans and early adopters. So when John said, look, I'm putting my money where my mouth is on this.
Yeah.
That set a precedent, and it really did make a difference. And then we had other creators follow suit, and we're seeing the benefit from it.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of guys are doing exactly what I was doing, and that is finishing up campaigns on the other ones. And then you have a lot of second chancers. People want to put their foot in this pond. I think, man, dive in. The water is nice, but you got your dabblers, and they'll come along. But I just see nothing but the skies for you guys. I'm like, and that's why when I came up with the top 25 idea, I was like, I want to do an unofficial list with you. It's going to be a blast of fun. Tell me if you hate it, because if it was official, then for instance, Dillard would probably be number one because he's one of the biggest guys on your thing. Yeah. But because it's unofficial, there's no pressure from the businesses and the politics.
Exactly.
It's all just in a.
I loved it. Every bit of growth that we've had has come from people that have had great ideas like that.
Yeah.
It really is. I hate using the word community in comic books because it's an industry and very few people actually have a community attitude about things. But having said that, we really are seeing a community that's rallying around this, like what we're doing here, and it's really awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I got
I think
on it as an experiment, and I think it paid off.
Heck yeah, it did. Melvin's funded, and you're gonna hit 700, bro. I know you are.
Yeah.
Well,
I might extend it. I don't know.
The thing
So,
that I
like,
would
go ahead,
Chris.
Diana.
I was going to
No,
say the thing that I really like about Fund My Comic is, like Chris said, we have tried the Indiegogo, we tried the Kickstarter, and yours just gives us that whole personal. And I know you don't like to use the word community, but I love the community of indie creators because I feel like there is so much talent, and I've seen so much talent just on From My Comic because of the video things that we're doing, and I just I'm left speechless sometimes because of all the talent. And I've always said from day one, when Chris decided to drag me into the whole comic book world. Prior to this, I knew what comic books were, but I didn't read them prior to this. I've learned a lot, but I've always said we need to build each other up and encourage each other. That each one of us, all of the creators that you have on Fund My Comic, man, there is a ton of talent, and there is a market and audience for them. And I just love the fact that because you are always, offering suggestions, and you always offer help, like with your videos. I've watched some of your videos on trying to figure out, like when I initially tried to set up the campaign, I'm like, holy crap, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I just went back and I kept looking at, your videos and stuff. And for me, that was a huge selling factor because of the personal touch that you've given it. And I feel that this is very dear to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your thing. Whereas the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo, they're so huge that I don't know the people running it. It's like, oh yeah, crowdfunding.
I love comic books.
Yeah.
And I love them.
Well, somebody asked me why FMC, why I didn't do this with Kickstarter or Indiegogo or all three. And I said, I love comics and I like stores that carry comics, but I prefer comic book stores. And that's what FMC feels like. It's not like, oh yeah, come over here. We got bikes, we got electric cars, we got this, that, the other thing. And we have this corner where there's comics. No, your first thing is comics. And in this corner, we have the weirdest things. We have, Edge of the Blade. It's some like 90s pop band, metal pop. I didn't know who they were. I thought they were fake. I started looking them up. They're not fake. They're real.
No, they're real.
They're like real guys. I'm like, holy cow. Or
it's a real band.
Or Simp there, the role playing game with the cards. I'm like, you have other stuff, but the top tier is all comics, and it's like that is you're not going to find that anywhere else.
Well,
not like that.
I'm a comic book fan.
Yeah, man.
And I'm a creator. I've been making comic books for a while. I wanted to do this because I wanted to make comic books and be left hell alone.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to do. And so it turns out that a lot of people want to be able to do that. So now we have a place where we can do that. Ironically, since I've started this, I have not been able to make comic books of my own. I'm so busy doing everything else. I haven't even been able to draw my own book. I'm drawing everybody else's and doing work. I've gotten so much more client work coming in, and no one's leaving me alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not mad about it at all, but I just thought it's so ironic that I wanted to make my comic books and be left hell alone, and neither one of those things have happened.
Luke, they say God has a sense of humor.
He does, yeah, he does, and he proved it. He proved it with Fund My Comic.
Yeah.
But it's been great because, like I said earlier, I get to talk to people that, I look up to, and and then I get to help them take that journey into crowdfunding. Gary Martin has not crowdfunded before. This is his first adventure. Same way with Kelsey, and I just want to give that personal touch.
Well, I'm excited that I think Bronze Star has been everywhere, but I'm glad to see it on FMC. Pat Broderick is like one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to 2 conventions where he was, and we both smoke. So I'd be outside at 3 in the morning, and he'd be outside at 3 in the morning. And I go outside at 5 in the morning, and he'd be outside at 5 in the morning. And we were like in that sync all, 3
You're
days.
on the same schedule.
Yeah, it was Terrificon. So it was 3 days, and it was 2 years in a row. And like I met his wife. She's a hoot. And Diana, like, I'd go out for coffee, and I'd be like, "Hey, you want to come down to the lobby? I'm kind of with that."
It's crazy. Chris is such a social butterfly. You wouldn't believe that he has autism, but like we go to these conventions and he's out and about. I'm usually sleeping in the room trying to catch up for the next day or whatever. And in the morning, it's like he's like this big celebrity. He knows all the help, all the people that have been up all night.
That was in the casino.
And this is blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of fun being married.
Well, you know how they have all this stuff open? Like I would go talk to the cashiers.
Oh, yeah.
Story, because they're just sitting there doing nothing. So it's like
gotta make friends, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He does.
Yeah, people don't realize the power of making friends. Yeah, it's important.
It's what it's important to be kind to people. To be nice to people. Know their stories.
Yeah, just be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Smile.
You know what's really weird? I'm nicer to strangers than I am people I love, and I've never understood that. Diana will tell you. Like we can walk the streets and meet a homeless guy, and I am like bent over backwards.
And when we were doing the street ministry, God called us to do the street ministry. The things that we did, guys, I can't even. We're in a field picking up heroin needles. Never thought that was coming. I was a church lady. I was like your regular born again Christian. I'm going to be raising my hands and, praising the Lord. And here I am, dressed in mud rickers and gloves and picking up needles in our neighborhood. And
that's the stuff I love, though.
And feeding, people that like didn't have food and stuff like that. Never saw that coming, but God took it away, and it was an amazing journey for us. And ever since that happened, we have a really hard time with the formal church setting.
Yeah,
because we kind of met people where they were and just loved on them, and
trust me, I know, I get it.
Yeah, that doesn't always work well in religion. They're like, "You're not doing it the right way." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was weird though. God
Chris
sent us
too
into a
smart
park.
and too movie for them. Poor pastors.
It was a town park, right? And like there were a whole bunch of people there. And after like, I'd say 2.5 years of Bible study there, the park was abandoned. Like they left it alone. Like it used to be a place of derelicts, and like the Holy Spirit just kind of cleaned it up. It was no longer. And we go by there, and there's people there now and then, but it's never been the same. Like it's always been kind of like, I'm sorry, if you read scripture in the same place for like 3 years, it changes. Like things grow funnier, they get better. The Lord is like that.
The truth is, whenever you encounter Jesus, you cannot be left the same.
Exactly.
Like it's just impossible. People don't understand that. It's no one that ever encountered Jesus was the same. Even the ones that rejected him.
That's right.
When you actually encounter him, whether you accept him or reject him, you can't leave that.
We saw that instead of having lots and lots of people hanging out, doing drugs, hardcore drugs, or drinking and being drunk, and kids just being disobedient. We just went down with our guitars and our Bibles and started worshiping and singing, the two of us with his mother. And like I said, I was your church lady.
My mom was the first to go with me. I was looking for
I
a
wouldn't
partner.
go the first time.
Nobody would go with me. None of the church fellows would go. Everybody was busy.
This is not a crazy idea of yours. I'm not going.
And my little old mama went, "I'll go with you." And we went down there, and it was funny because the first person we met was a lifelong alcoholic who ended up becoming a friend and was around for quite a while. And she was there and was like able to relate to him where I probably would have just blown it. But you know how God works. So she just sat there and started talking about some, Chuck Berry, John Lennon, all of a sudden they're talking rock and roll from the 60s. And the next thing I knew, we were reading the Bible. And I was like, wow, mama did good.
Yep.
There's a downside to being nice, because I'm nice to everybody. Sometimes people tell you things you don't want to know about.
Oh, I got one of those faces. And I can't believe it, because I've got like this sour look on my face all the time. I've got what we call a hostile resting face, right? Yeah. But people will just open up and just start telling me their telling me their stuff. I guess I kind of knew I was going to be a pastor at one point.
There you go.
I mean, I just knew that's what I was going to be. I'm a shepherd, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, I always did things different. In fact, my time as a pastor, I would do things so differently that it almost made pastoral work unbearable for me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted so much to do something out of the ordinary, and people just wanted to be so ordinary at times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they wanted to focus in on themselves, and I mean, good people that I absolutely love and adore,
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, guys, you got to get out of your own way on this. You know,
Get out there.
yeah, but we, you know, it is what it is. Now I'm not doing that anymore.
Mhm.
I'm doing this, but I kind of surprised myself the other day. You know, every once in a while you'll say something, and you're like, oh wow, that's how I really feel about that. Like, you know, because you lie to yourself and you think you think you know how you feel about something, and then you'll say something, you'll realize that I didn't feel the way I thought I felt about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was over on Rex Devil Flyers channel. He'd asked me, you know, I'm sitting here drawing and doing some work, and you know, when I'm doing this and someone asks me to come on their channel, I usually go, because I like to just hang out and talk and, you know, just chat. And so we're over there and we're chatting, and he asked, he goes, well, hey, what's your thoughts on revival? And I'm like, why you ask me that kind of stuff, you know? I'm like, here's what I know. I'm an apologist, okay? I'm an apologist.
Yes, you are.
I am what, I don't know if you're familiar with, so I'm not a Calvinist. I'm not Calvinist at all.
No.
But I am as close to Reformed as an Arminian can get, okay? I am what they call a Wesleyan holiness guy.
What does that mean?
Well,
Wesley was a preacher, right?
Wesley was a preacher. It was John and Charles. So Charles Wesley started the Wesleyan Church. John Wesley did the Methodist. Okay, they're both Arminians and in the core theology. And holiness is a lot like Reformed, you know, as a Calvinist would view it. And so that's kind of my theological bend. But I'm like, well, if the Bible says it, then that's what the Bible says. We don't argue with the Bible. You know, there ain't no point in we're not here to make stuff up. You know, I don't believe in preaching out of second opinions.
You want to hear something cool, which Diana will appreciate. So remember Jerome's time for you, Diana?
Yes, of course.
He's a Wesleyan preacher.
I know he is. That's why.
Yeah, I drew a cover for his novel this last year.
Yeah.
He did his own novel, self-published, but we've known him for probably a decade online. I wish he was around tonight. He's got a real radio voice. Like,
yeah, he's
the type of guy who could be like, you know, come on down to Henry Ford and get your Cadillac today.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
and natural for him. He doesn't have to fake it. It's just an automatic, you know. God, I don't know. Some guys are so blessed, you know, like the Lord just gave him that thunder voice, and he's got one.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Calvin kind of a jerk? Didn't he actually have people thrown in jail for not going to church?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of was. In fact, what's funny is our Arminian, I can never say it right. Words are hard. You know him. The guy that started Arminian kind of stuff was actually doing a paper in order to validate Calvin's viewpoints on theology.
Mm-hmm.
And in his studies, wound up disagreeing with the tulip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very interesting indeed.
Yeah.
And then so that's kind of where that started. But you know, but no, I'm an apologist. I believe the Bible says it. It's the truth. We don't make it up. You know, The Bible, it says speak truth in love, and I believe in speaking the truth in love, and a lot of times that truth is offensive to us. In fact, it says it's going to be offensive to us.
Offensive. It's hard.
It says that it cuts to the quick. It cuts down to the bone. I mean,
let me throw a double-edged sword your way real quick, because you know how deadly this one is. Ready? What translation do you prefer?
Oh, easy. ESV.
Okay, I was just because some people, there's the KJV, and then there's the 1611. They freak out, and like there's all the.
Well, let me tell you something about that. And here again, I'm just going to speak my truth.
Yep.
And this is why I think in that moment when Rex asked me that, I'm like, I have a lot of opinions on revival. But the problem is every time I speak the truth about theology, I don't make any friends, and I'm trying to grow a business. I can't be running people off. That's what I told him. And I felt real shame after that, because I got to know God's the one that told me to start this thing. He's not going to also sustain it when I tell the truth if someone asks it. How foolish am I being right now, right? Yeah. So I'll say this. If you are a King James only kind of person, you are being foolish. Because King James Old English only had slightly over 300 words in its vocabulary. To ascertain full understanding of the Word of God, there is no way you can use a mere 300 words. The original Aramaic had 4 different words for the word love. One word requires a number of adjectives for us to be able to understand that kind of love. They had one word to describe it. Even the Greek that the New Testament was written in as a language was far more descriptive than our original English and the King James English. Furthermore, there is proof that King James changed scripture with an asterisk next to it because that was what he was paid to do.
Right.
Not that it was bad. I mean, he added a verse that wasn't there. Like, it just wasn't there at the end of the Lord's Prayer. Nothing else was changed but that little bit at the end of the Lord's Prayer.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they supposed to, when they do translations, aren't they supposed to get as close as they possibly can? And if anything's off, they have to scrap it and start all over again?
Not with English.
No, it sounds like you're talking about the Jewish scribes in the Old Testament, as we would call it. But if they start writing something in handwriting and have an error, supposedly they destroy it.
Let's destroy the whole thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had this kid that was a Bible, like he was going to school in college to be a translator. He was going to trans the Bible from original text into new languages for people. Like that's what he was going to do. And so he and I got along right away. We had a lot of fun conversations on that mission trip. But one of the things that he was like, he would bring up these fun little things. Like, you pick on things. I remember when I was a kid, my favorite verse was about the ones that sat on the wall and they ate their own dung and drank their own piss. In King James is what it says there. And I believe it was Kings, 2 Kings that said that.
What are you having for lunch?
Right, yeah, what are you having for lunch? And then there was that verse that said, and boy, did we overuse that verse as a teenager in high school. I went to a Christian school, by the way. It said, it is better for the seed of a man to lie in the belly of a whore than to fall upon the ground. And that is the King James Version right there, right? So we would quote that scripture as our favorite verse many times as a joke. But so I like but I'm a theology nerd, right? So he threw something on me. He goes, hey, that part where Paul says in Romans, should we continue to sin so that grace will abound? And he says, certainly not. And he goes, yeah. He goes, he didn't really say certainly not, right? I said, well, of course he didn't say that. That wasn't the phrase. He goes, no, we cleaned up the phrase. It means certainly not, but it was more akin, the language that he would have used, the slang that he would have used, would have been more akin to our hell no. So if we were to translate it to what our current dialect is, our current language in the United States, we would have to say, should we continue to sin so grace would abound? Hell no. That's stupid. And I was like, man, I love you.
Honestly, for some reason that still kind of works.
It does. It works great. I mean, because this is exactly what it, means what it means, right? But that's the kind of stuff I'm into, but I know that when I go talking about, translations and stuff like that, people are going to get mad at me. And, if
Well,
you
you're
ask
right, but I
me,
have to tell you, now I know one of the reasons I just love you. Because I'm like an amateur theologian. Diana has called me an apologist more times than not. I don't think I'm any of those things. But
He's a defender of the world. That is what an apologist
when you call yourself a theological geek, like a nerd, I'm like, yep, I'm there. I've been there. I love a good conversation.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you do it too much in the wrong place or the wrong time,
you don't make friends.
Yeah.
You don't make friends. And I've got people to this day that won't spend any time with me in the comic book world because they think that I'm a bigot because I have strong feelings about. I mean, I don't dislike people that are homosexual or transgender, anything like that. I love them very much. I got friends that are that way.
I think I might have accidentally ran into a few of them.
Yeah, I probably have. I mean, I know people that call themselves Christians that are of a progressive lean that they don't like Luke, and that's okay because Luke don't care for them too much either.
That's what matters.
Yeah, I always say that's okay because Luke don't care for them too much either.
Right.
But guys, I think I'm gonna take off.
Poor Rick, I'm watching you fall asleep. You've had a very long day, my friend.
Yeah.
You've had a long day. Go get some sleep.
I've had a long week.
I want you to get a hold of me. I don't really want to talk about this on the air, but please get a hold of me. Okay, I need to speak with you. Maybe message me privately after this. Yes,
Me?
you. Yes,
Okay.
you. Yeah. So.
Well, speaking of privately, we are like at the 2-hour mark.
Yep.
Which means we have to go to bed ourselves.
Nice.
So we can close out the show on this. First of all, thank you, Luke Stone and Rick and Tim and Terry, wherever you went off to.
And Luke, you're all right in my book, so don't worry. We're
I
cool.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all bought by the same blood, brother. I'm like
Yes,
so
we are.
happy to
Amen.
know you.
Amen. Yep.
And issue 6 is coming soon for anybody watching. I'm just curious. Yeah, it's going to be on FMC too.
Looking forward to it, man.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
FMC always gets the first dibs on any Melvin book I do.
Oh,
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
well, so long as you stay in business, which I expect to be for decades. That's where Hero Shack is going.
It's funny. Somebody said, so we get detractors always moving the goalpost on us. First off, well, you'll never launch, and we did have a little trouble with launching because we want to make sure things were done right, And then we launched. It's like, well, no one will ever use it, and then people started using it. And then they said, well, they'll never have a campaign that makes more than 10,000. And now we've got like 7 or 8 of them that's made more than 10K. We got a couple that are on their race for 20K. And then somebody said, well, you guys won't be in business for more than 3 years. And I'm like, well, I imagine by the end of 3 years, I've sold this business to somebody else. But I probably won't sell the business, quite honest, because I don't think they'd run it the same way I would. Because it's not about the money.
At some point, though, that will become an issue. But you're still young and vibrant.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Diana, right now we can contact the owner, but when this thing becomes multi-million, it's going to be harder and harder. But I think the core of the company is always going to be.
I'm sure Luke will hire people that you can contact. Unlike say Indiegogo, where I was having a whole big problem getting my fund.
Have you ever tried to call Mr. Gogo? I've tried to call Mr. Gogo. He never answers.
But with them, I was having trouble getting the money on my first campaign, and they don't have a phone number. Nobody can reach by.
He's too busy being the whiskey Gogo.
They just put you in front of some person that's got a script, and they say blah 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 to whatever you say, and they don't really listen to whatever you're saying.
I think it's because you're Canadian, though.
Eh?
Hey.
They might be Canadianists.
Yeah, they're Canadianists.
So,
Anyway,
gentlemen, this is what
we
happens.
do love
They
Canada.
ramble. Luke, these 3 will ramble.
Yes, we gotta
ramble.
go.
I'm going to have to be.
Rick,
at the
don't
same
forget to get a hold of him, okay?
have to be.
Rick,
at the
don't
same
forget to get a hold of him, okay?
Yeah,
And Rick,
well, if
we
we
go to
if
the-
we end here, I'm sure we could do it right now or whatever. If it's possible.
And
Yeah, if you close the stream, we can do. I just don't want to do it on the air.
yeah.
Okay, ladies.